Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar, Workstation Solutions for Higher Education. We have quite the panel of experts set up to speak with you today, and we are excited to have you. My name is Allie Heater. I am the Executive Briefing Center Manager, and I will simply be working behind the curtain to help our panelists out. If you have any questions, please note that you all have been placed on mute upon entry. So if you have questions for our presenters, if there's feedback that you need to share, please utilize the questions tab. You should see that located on your GoToWebinar dashboard. If there is something incredibly pertinent that you want to be unmuted to ask, you can raise your hand. It's kind of like being in a classroom. I'll be able to unmute your line so you can speak to our panelists. Well, without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Brian and Mark. Go ahead, guys.
Good morning, team. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you taking time out of a busy afternoon. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Lots of questions, lots of things that we're still trying to figure out. Plus, it's the Tuesday after a long holiday weekend, so we appreciate you guys hopping on this afternoon and giving us an hour of your time. My name is Brian Scholler. I am the North America Product Manager for Entry Desktop Workstation, and have my colleague Mark Holmes on the phone. He is our Product Portfolio Manager for all of our mobile workstations. And then we've got Chris Turco on from Nvidia that's going to help us out and talk to us a little bit about Quadro graphics cards today. So Mark, if you want to go ahead and jump to the agenda slide. All right, so just want to give you guys a quick overview of some of the things we're going to be talking about today. Really want to focus in on workstations for higher education, give you an introduction to Lenovo Workstations, an overview, a quick update on the 2020 portfolio and what you can expect to see from Lenovo this year in our workstation lineup. I'm going to give you a why Lenovo Workstations for media and entertainment. So we'll touch on the media and entertainment a little space, look at some specific models there that that really cater towards that industry. Again, Chris is going to then take us through why Quadro RTX and the art and science space. And then Mark's going to wrap us up with Lenovo Workstation Solutions for data science. So Mark, if you'll go ahead and jump to the next. All right, so just wanted to throw this slide in here for you guys. Lenovo is the fastest growing workstation manufacturer in the world. We are also the #1 PC manufacturer in the world. So holding both of those #1 titles goes a long way and speaks for a lot, but also the additional names you see at the bottom there. These are some of the big players in the media and entertainment and data science industries. And we just really wanted to call out a few of these so you could see some of the other customers that we're working with. Some of these are ISV certification people. So not only do we work with them for ISV certifications, but they're also customers of ours. So again, that goes a long way when they're not only certifying our products, but when they're actually using them as well. Next slide, Mark. So wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about why Lenovo and why Lenovo Workstations. Lenovo, as I mentioned earlier, is the fastest growing workstation provider in the industry, and wanted to touch on key 4 points that help make us who we are today and how we've become that leader. So one of the things is customer-driven innovation. So we spend a lot of time with our customers listening to their needs and demands, and we really try and cater to that, providing you guys the devices and hardware that you need to do your jobs, both as whether it be faculty within the university systems or your students. We understand that it's key for the students to use the hardware throughout their college careers that they're going to be using in the future, and Lenovo really allows us to be able to do that, both in the higher education space as well in the corporate space. So again, we have customer advisory councils specifically for higher education as well as our corporate customers. So we cherish that feedback, we take it, we learn from it, and we really try to deliver the best product possible for our customers. Industry leading reliability. Anyone that knows the ThinkPad name knows that we're historically known for our reliability, our durability, the ThinkPad name brand. There's a study that's specific to Workstation that was just redone. It's actually a private company called TBR. So we basically hired them to go out and do a double-blind study on all of the Lenovo product compared to our competitors. And basically what they found that over a 3-year period, Lenovo Lenovo workstations are 20% more reliable than our competitors. And when you kind of stretch that over a 4 or 5 year period, you really see that reliability spike up. So looking out at year 4 and 5, we become even more reliable than that 20%. But again, over a 3-year span, we are typically 20% more reliable than our customers. Technical expertise. We have a dedicated team focused on technical experts who can work directly with our customers. So you've got your workstation sales reps that you guys probably talk to on a weekly basis, that you're working through configurations, different needs, trying to understand solutions, pain points, those sorts of things. But we've got another team, our advisory engineering team, behind the scenes, that just have a plethora of expertise. They really understand our devices inside and out, and we offer them directly to our customers. So if you have a specific need or demand that you're trying to work through, that you need help solving, we've got that dedicated group of people that you can work with side by side, and really come up with the best overall solution for what it is you're looking to do. And again, whether that's finding the perfect balance between a student device and an engineering device, so that they can use it for both their engineering studies as well as their general studies, or whether it's for faculty members or labs, where specific applications are being used, or specific workloads and work streams are being performed. So make sure when you're having conversations with your workstation specialist that you mention this if it's something you're interested in, and they can get you in contact with those teams and really utilize them to give you the best experience possible. And then last but not least here is empowering emerging technologies, and that's a lot of done a lot through artificial intelligence now, seeing how it's easier than it's ever been before. AR, VR education and training, but especially really around the artificial intelligence. They're becoming business requirements, and it's really necessary to keep businesses competitive. And it all starts in higher education, when the students are in school, when they're learning this, to carry over with them once they get out into the real world and move into a professional career. And just overall, Lenovo Workstation portfolio really is the best way to start implementing this across your organization. So moving on, Mark, if you'll jump down to what's new. Any questions so far? I know we've got the chat window, so if you guys have any questions along the way, I've got several of my colleagues on the phone that'll be happy to answer questions. I'll keep an eye on it as well. But if there's anything specific I've missed or you have questions on, feel free to ask. So ThinkPad P series. These are our mobile devices. What's new in 2020? We've got a full ThinkPad refresh this year, so we're refreshing all of the laptops from the P1 all the way up to the P17. We're introducing the latest Intel high-performance processors, 10th gen Core i processors, as well as Xeon. We've got an all-new value-focused mid-range notebook this year that we won't get into on this call. But if that's something that you're interested in finding out a little bit more about, that is a brand new product, and hopefully going to meet a lot of needs for some customers that we weren't able to connect with and touch with in the past. So we're excited about that new product. We've got mobile broadband across the entire portfolio of mobile products, as well as Wi-Fi 6. And on the next slide, you'll see that we have Wi-Fi 6 in the entry-level P3 series well on the desktop side. So we'll touch on that again in a moment. All new narrative UC controls on the keyboard. So the ease and functionality there. You don't have to go searching for anything. It's all right there at the tip of your fingers. On the mobile line, we have factory color calibration across the board. So it is optional on some of the devices, but it is something that if color calibration is important to you guys, that we do offer. We've got an ePrivacy Lite with Glance app enhancements for IR, and then I would be remiss not to mention the ultra performance mode, and then full flexibility GPU design. And that last one's key for us. In the past, with some of these mobile workstations, the GPU and CPU are tied together in combination. So in order to get one GPU, you may have to go with a certain CPU or vice versa. Happy to say that going forward with the mobile workstations, we'll have full flexibility there. So you'll be able to choose GPUs and CPUs independently with a lot more flexibility for your specific needs. And I'm going to take a sip of drink real quick. Sorry about that. So ThinkStation P series, what's new for 2020? So I mentioned the P330. We are in the process of going through transition now. The follow-on product will launch the beginning, actually the middle of June now. I apologize, ship support dates have slipped out a little bit, so trying to keep up with all of those. But we will ship support the middle of June, and then really kind of get things going full swing July and August with those new P3 series. We're going to get new power supplies across all of our product portfolio in the desktop this year. So not just the P3, but the P5, 7, and 9 will also get new power supply. And basically, that's going to allow us to support some of these new processors, new higher-end processors, as well as additional graphic support. So really good thing there to be able to have the additional power to build out some more robust machines to, again, make sure we're capable of meeting your requirements as teachers and students. In the P3 series, we are going to go up to the RTX 5000 card now in the tower. So great entry-level product. RTX 5000 allows you to do AR, VR, all of your AutoCAD, all of your media entertainment software applications. So great entry-level device for those who may be looking for more of a multifaceted machine. P520, 520C, we're going to get the new processors, improved Linux support, and again the power supplies. And then with the high-end P920, P720, these are our dual socket devices. You'll get the Intel Xeon SP-R, the Cascade Lake refresh, Intel Optane DC persistence memory, again the improved Linux support, as well as the power supply upgrades. So lots of exciting new things coming from the portfolio this year. So if you have additional questions or want some a deeper dive into that, definitely reach out to your workstation specialists, and they can take care of you there. All right. So I want to switch over to a slightly different topic here and kind of talk to you a little bit more about why Lenovo in the media and entertainment space. And this is a quote from Pavlov, who is an editor with GC Cookie. They are a free project-based curriculum builder for computer animation with Blender, as well as with game development and Unity. And I thought this was a pretty strong quotation here. In a world defined by technology, 3D modeling and design is here to stay. The ability to think and create in 3 dimensions can only be expected to become increasingly relevant, and it's up to schools whether they will raise the challenge and reap the benefits. So, it really does start in high ed, if not sooner. We see it with STEM and Project Lead the Way and some of these other curriculum and education programs that are even starting out in K-12 now. But students really do get the opportunity to kind of take it to a different level once they reach the higher ed space. And it's going to be huge for the future in the media and entertainment, as well as all the other specific spaces as well. So, Mark, if you go to the next slide. All right. So some of the new paths defined by media and entertainment. Some of these are more traditional with things like 3D animation, digital art design, visual effects. But where we're really seeing the media and entertainment space take off is in broadcasting and video editing and audio engineering. And a lot of that stems from the video game design or from the video game world with esports. So not only have we seen video game design and development become much more popular and extremely high demand, but the broadcasting, the publicity behind it, setting up these arenas and doing these shows and all the other stuff that goes into it has become really big in the last 12 to 18 months. So we continue to see that grow in leaps and bounds, and suspect that you guys will be focusing more on that as well into the future. And then you also have VR and AR content creation. It's utmost important that everything is as realistic as possible when you're looking at things in VR and AR. So again, that 3D animation, those visual effects, we're just striving for the most important. And I mentioned earlier ISV certification. So you can see here some of the different software providers and design softwares that we are ISV certified all of our equipment on. So there should be, again, no concerns whenever you're running these applications. You should feel fully confident that the Lenovo devices you have are ample and capable of doing the job. Students are more in tune now than ever with regard to DCC. And they're capitalizing on these skills. They're transcending to meaningful levels, and it can be a challenge. So we hope that with Lenovo hardware and our partnership with these ISV vendors to make that as easy as possible for you and helps benefit you in the long run. And then the last thing I want to call out here is, some schools have actually successfully incorporated low-cost animation software in areas like digital art, where cross-discipline benefits have been shown, and that could be for math or science aptitude. So it's not just within the media and science, but there's other positive things that come out of this as well. So next slide, Mark. All right, so again, a little more in depth on why Lenovo Workstations can help. I mentioned earlier we have an extensive portfolio, so we can meet the needs of pretty much all of our users. We have the ability to do CTO models, so we can really build out and configure devices to your specific needs. If your students are focusing specifically on certain types of software that need specific graphics, or as an educator, you have additional requirements over what's needed for the students. We can build multiple devices on the same platform to meet all of those needs. We can meet production requirements. We can do 2D, 3D animation, editing, color correction. So lots of great features and ways that Workstation can help. We can help you get the most out of your M&E applications through Lenovo Performance Tuner. It's a free software that we offer that comes standard on our desktops. So, on our workstations. So that's definitely something that really helps you troubleshoot and minimize downtime through Lenovo diagnostics, and that's not something that you get through a lot of the other manufacturers. So. ThinkShield, our security suite, if you're not familiar with that, lots of great features and capabilities offered on all of our Lenovo Think products. And then we do benchmarking and configuration optimization. I mentioned our engineering advisory team earlier. Again, make sure you're taking care of that. We can help make sure you've got the exact equipment that you need for your needs within the education space to maximize your performance and overall workflows. And last but not least, I've touched on the ISV certifications, but again, that the fact that we're certifying these devices means that you can run all of your M&E applications with the utmost confidence. And Mark, if you'll jump to my last slide. All right, so this slide looks a little more specifically at the different products. So we'll start with the mobile products here on the left-hand side. So P1 is really it's for on-the-go performance. It's presented in a premium package, and it's great for digital and media arts, for educators as well as students. Your round campus, you need a device that's thin and light. You need it for your everyday general studies, but you also need the power and the graphics capability to do some of the digital arts and media stuff that the students are doing on a daily basis. So this is a really good, lightweight, extremely mobile, portable device. P530, that's our most powerful mobile workstation. We actually can go up to an RTX 5000 with an i9 graphics card in that. Again, something like that device on the go, but for students who need more high performance, visual computing, rapid rendering in the media and arts space. You can go up to a 4K OLED display on this product. So, if you have an extreme need for color and visual, great device here, real workhorse powerhouse in a 15-inch device. P330. The tower and the tiny, again, great for media and entertainment, both for educators and students. If you have dedicated labs that the students come into, these devices are extremely powerful. The tiny itself is the world's smallest desktop workstation. It goes up to i9 Core i CPU, P1000 graphics. The key thing about this device is it can support up to 6 individual displays. So just extreme power in a very tiny box. Our P520 and P520C, these are kind of moving up the stack. These are the start of our performance devices. So high performance designing, again, composting, rendering, all in an affordable package. So this is kind of our mainstream step up from the P330, a little more power, a little more performance, but really hitting that sweet spot when it comes to pricing as well. And then our P720, P920 are really our heavy hitters for more graphic intense, ideal for things like After Effects, Flame, Media Composer, Premiere Pro, Resolve, different things like that. So much more of the higher end video editing and so on and so forth. And then I'd be remiss not to talk a little bit about our P-Series monitors, just calling out a couple here on the right-hand side. Our P32U, that is a true 4K display with Thunderbolt capability. We offer factory color calibration on all these high-end devices. This particular one has Thunderbolt 3 connectivity and daisy chain support. So beautiful monitor. Again, any type of color intensive or graphic intensive, this display is a real gem. And then last but not least, our P44W. And this is more of a multitasking, kind of looked at as a dual 24-inch. It is a 32 by 10 aspect ratio. So if you break that down by 2, it basically gives you two 24-inch 16 by 10 displays. You can do picture-in-picture, picture-by-picture, and you also have the ability to have USB-C with 90-watt power charging output. So for some of the lighter and thinner, less graphic intense laptops, like P43S or P53S would be you could power with that monitor. But again, factory color calibration, and we do have HDR 4000 capability on this display. So when you're thinking workstation, you should always be thinking performance monitors as well. So when you think Lenovo P-Series workstations, think P-Series visuals, and you can't go wrong pairing up one of those guys with the workstation. So that's what I had today on the media and entertainment space. I hope I touched on the things that you guys were interested in hearing. And again, if there's any questions, looks like we got a couple there. I'll take a look and make sure we get those answered for you. So Chris, I will go ahead and hand it over to you.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Yep. Okay, great. Can you see the slides?
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Chris Turco. ProViz Biz Dev Manager. I'm out of New Jersey. So if anybody's on the East Coast, I'm in the same boat you guys are with the lockdown. So appreciate your time. And forgive if you hear any toddlers or dogs barking in the background, but we're all at home, so we know how that goes. So I'll dive right into it. I'm going to talk about Quadro RTX segment in media and entertainment, and as well as touch on a little data science, and then pass it over to Mark. Oh, let me get the screens working here. All right, so Quadro RTX boards were introduced last year. Really, it's still today the world's most powerful GPU in the RTX 8000, RTX 6000. I had a video, it didn't really play too well, so I'm just going to pass that up. But the real key to the RTX family is the Turing GPU. It's a completely new architecture that's just leaps and bounds above Pascal. So on the left is Pascal. Obviously, our CUDA cores have been enabling all of our ISPs and all the great performance you're seeing now with all the Nvidia technology for years and years, over 10 years now, and almost 2 million developers on CUDA. That obviously continues in Turing, but the real benefit of Turing and RTX is the addition of RT cores, which is for real-time ray tracing, and tensor cores, which is for all AI and a mix of AI and real-time, which we'll get into. So it's a huge jump in realism, the idea of hybrid rendering modeling, and just ray tracing and compute in general. So the real quick on the stack, RTX 8000 is the top, RTX 6, 5, and 4 go down. The real key to these is not just the RT cores and tensor cores, but the GDDR6 memory and the frame buffer sizes. RTX 4000, which in the RTX family we call entry level, is just a phenomenal board with 8 gigs of memory, over 2,000 CUDA cores, and then it goes up to the RTX 8000 at 48 gigs. And I'm going to get into that in a bit. They all are virtual link ready for VR, AR, VR, XR, however you want to call it, as well as Quadro Sync available for multi-displays and video walls and things like virtual production, which we'll talk about in a second. Two of the new things I want to talk about, well, this one isn't that new, but the EnView desktop manager has been around forever with the Quadro driver, but we're going to rebrand it this year called the Quadro View. It's in beta right now, but basically what this does, it's an IT management stream, really. It gives you access to user profiles across campus, across the workflows, and allows you to push out different profiles depending on the application needs and the user experience. So if I always want my Autodesk products to happen on the right, my email to happen on the left, I save that profile, push it out to whoever needs that profile, and they're going to see that same profile all the time. That, along with our new Quadro Experience, is another advance in IT management capabilities. So this gives you a user utility, just like Windows, when a new driver is updating, it pops up, lets you know there's a driver, gives you all the feedback of what the driver is including. Beyond the driver updates, it also includes all optimization for applications. So in the past, our optimization in Quadro was really just Autodesk, Adobe, all that kind of stuff. Now we're actually including gaming. So in universities, we have a lot of students that game at night or, game in the morning whenever they have some free time, but they also need their engineering and their M&E experience to be optimal. So in that setting of the driver, you click on the bottom right, you pull up whatever application you're using or whatever game you're playing, and it's going to optimize for that. So that's brand new. As well as live broadcasting, Brian mentioned earlier, a lot of people are live streaming to Twitch and things like that, live streaming to Facebook Live. LinkedIn even has a live now. So that's going to be an automatic coming out of the Quadro Experience in the driver. These can be turned on and off depending on your corporate structure, your educational structure, but that's just an advancement there. And then the following slide is really an eye chart, but the benefits of Quadro are huge beyond just the technology itself, but on the Nvidia support, the ISV certifications that Brian mentioned, and just a lot of different features that we let the customers get access to, as well as 2 to 3 year availability within the life cycles of Lenovo products. You guys are already set on that. So getting into media and entertainment, I'm going to just kind of breeze through a bit of these, but obviously we break it down into 3 categories: film, broadcast, and advertising. In film, you've got the traditional 3D modeling, color grading, visual effects, but more recently you've got the VR and AR capabilities, and then also you got location-based entertainment. So a lot of our customers are in the, the Disneys and the Universals of the world. They've got the Millennium Falcon ride down in Universal or Disney that it's fully interactive, but it's also location-based. So they have Quadro boards not only developing the content, but then actually pushing out the content. So the interactivity is the same on development as well as ingest. Broadcast, obviously, is a big part of the business. The real-time rendering aspect of broadcast, being able to have a fully real-time rendered backdrop, desks and weather maps and things like that. And I'll show you some examples of that. And the mix of AI for encode, decode, and video editing is just phenomenal that we're doing. And then in advertising, the same thing it's always been: content creation, marketing. But now we add an element of AI to the discovery of what our consumers are looking at, what our consumers are recommending, and then just be able to prototype and get focused feedback on products that aren't even available yet, right? So some of the trends that we're definitely pushing the limits are to be able to ingest and edit 8K video. The key there is not that we're going to play back in 8K, right? Netflix has 4K, but not many people use it. The key is when you shoot in 8K, you can actually edit a lot more of the video, because now you can do pans and zooms on that same video like you would a still photograph, but it's full screen video. And when you scale it down, you then get a result that may be 4K, but your original raw footage is 8K. It's huge to be able to do that on screen in real time. GPU rendering is continuing to take off. A lot of render farms nowadays are CPU. A lot of the applications we'll talk about are going into the GPU. So that's a huge advancement. And then the bottom left, like I said, the real-time rendering, that entire set there is a few chairs and a few people standing around, and everything else is all just virtual. So the ability to do that real time with real shadows, real ray tracing, real rendered effects, real reflections is key. So I don't know if you're going to see these videos playing. Can you see those? So materials, geometry, photorealism, simulation, facial animation, these are all happening real time on the screen. None of this is pre-baked, none of this is rendered. So when you have a Quadro RTX board in your system, you're able to do these real-time effects, real-time visuals without rendering. So there's no go back and have lunch and come back and find out there's a frame drop and that kind of thing. This is all real-time. The facial animation on the bottom right is just phenomenal. DigiDoug from Digital Domain, it's a TED Talk that was literally all rendered real-time, and it looks like a real human, but just with mocap making the face move and all that. So it's phenomenal what we can do with the real-time cores. So Brian touched a bit. Here's another eye chart of all the different ISVs. We have 100 plus professional software applications certified on NVIDIA, and that's a real big focus to the Quadro team. We really test these Quadro boards with the ISV partnership to the ultimate degree. And when you deliver that driver and hit that optimization button, you know that Quadro drivers optimized specifically for these applications. And as drivers update, they understand that they can't mess up what's already been created. So the updates don't change based on, buying cycles for Christmas and New Year's and back to school and things like that. These updates are happening based on Adobe and Autodesk and the Foundry and Unity and Unreal, pushing us to make the driver better for them. And that's the way the driver gets pushed out to our consumers. So just some examples here, Arnold, DaVinci, Lightroom, some pretty heavy hitter M&E applications, but you can just see, obviously, comparing GPUs to CPUs on the bottom left, it's just a no-brainer. Comparing GTX to RTX, it's a no-brainer, but then also comparing RTX 2080 Ti, which is the top line on our consumer boards, the Quadro boards are that much better in performance of these applications, just from optimization standpoint, from memory on board, and from the driver optimization. So, yeah, I kind of touched on this. The one thing, like I said, the optimal drivers allow us to have those certifications beyond what you just normally would get by plugging in GPU. This frame here is another key of Quadro. With the frame buffers that I mentioned, 48 gigs in an RTX 8000, 24 gigs in RTX 6000, you're able to open up more applications at the same time. Everybody doesn't just use one application at once, close it down, boot up another application, close it down. What artists like to do is experiment. So here we're showing Substance Painter from Adobe, Photoshop from Adobe, Maya and Arnold from Autodesk, all working in real time with 16 gigs of memory. And I'm just going to show you a quick video here and talk over it. But basically, you have Substance Painter and Photoshop on the left. You got the animation playback in Arnold. You've got the Maya frames per second showing you 30 frames per second as playback. But let's stop the frames. Let's add some graphics. Let's change some colors. Let's change some materials, change some lighting even. This is all real-time rendering, so you can see the results as it happens. And all these applications are loaded with the full data set in your GPU memory. So now you apply those to the character and let the animation run. Again, instantly it's 30 frames per second. It didn't have to bake. It didn't have to scale out and encode and wait to come back to see the results. And then you can iteratively process your creative workflows forward and forward. Let me just see if I can go to the next frame. Okay, so here's another example, 8 gigs versus 16 gigs. And on the left, you're going to see 8 gigs doesn't even work for this data set. This is a huge data set. If anybody saw our keynote, it's an entirely sci-fi, real-time rendered environment with the 2 characters that are interacting. On the left, it's just barely pulling up the data set. And on the right, with 6 gigs, the whole data set's already rendering, transitioning real-time and with no problem. So that's the huge benefit of the frame buffer. So I mentioned earlier broadcast. This is a great example the Weather Channel and the folks at Future Group did. But this is an interactive instance where the talent on screen is got a green screen behind her, and the graphics are literally interacting as they move the wave of, this is for hurricane flooding, as they move that hurricane flooding closer to her, and as she walks through that hurricane, it actually interacts with her and changes the physical properties. The little kid's tricycle here and the boxes are actually floating in real-time water. Along the lines of AI on screen, you have all the ability to identify logos, to identify key placements of ads, right? So people Audi pays for these ads. They want to know how many placements they got, how many eyeballs they got on the screen. AI has the ability to do that within the transcoding and decoding of the video with the Quadro RTX, as well as, like I said, location-based entertainment and kind of interactive gaming, if you will, but it's motion captured live without wearing any kind of tennis balls or ping pong balls that a lot of people see on the videos. This is just taking a person's movement and rendering it on screen real time with the RTX cores. Showed this before, but this is a real huge development between real-time rendering and AI. So they created a character, put it in a real scene, and told the character to find its way. So this was not animated. This is actually an AI character trying to figure out how to move around this terrain and how to get to the end result. So it's a paper done in University of Edinburgh. Hopefully next time we'll have some universities that are represented here today, but the same thing on physics and neural networks and things like that. And speaking of neural networks, let's get into Quadro RTX. Sorry, Mark, I know I'm taking a little time. Let me just kind of slip through this. So the key to data science today is that it's slow, it's in the CPU, and there's a lot of data. We call them data lakes, right? So being able to use that data in its easiest form is a challenge. Right now, people are on a laptop, they're logging into the cloud, or they're logging into the university or corporate data center, and that data center is being used for a lot, no offense to the students, but a lot more important things possibly than this one student's access. So they're sitting watching the clock. When can I get my data? When can I get access to these GPU or these CPUs in the cloud or CPUs in the data center? The key change or the key focus to that aspect is really all they're doing is collecting the data, analyzing and prepping it. By the time they get around to their full day, they've had a lot of cup of coffees waiting and rehashing their data, but they actually haven't gotten to the training and inferencing and the testing and the validation yet. So what we do is when we add GPUs to the scene, to the data science workstation, to the data science workflow, we're giving them a faster time to get to the results. It's quicker to data prep, quicker to analyze, and you can put more of that data into the GPU memory and get to your training, inferencing, and testing a lot quicker. So it's GPU accelerated, not in the cloud, not at the data center, but at your desk. so in your mobile or in your tower. Again, the key to the Quadro is that large memory. To be able to put that entire data set into your memory is key. Just some examples, Quadro is 33% faster than a 2080 Ti, the RTX 6000 this is. In training times, you scale down from a week to only 4 days. You scale down from an hour to only 40 minutes. So that's the kind of real advancements you can see with the Quadro boards. I'm just going to kind of skip through these eye charts, but the next thing in inferencing is intelligent video analytics. It's a big thing with cameras, being able to understand. Right now with COVID-19, they're doing camera with infrared thermal cameras, being able to check temperatures, things like that, getting the video to frame back to the GPU quicker. You need the fastest and largest data that you can get. I'm going to just skip through these because my time is running out. But one thing I'm going to just flip over to Mark, the idea of Lenovo's data science workstation. So this is a hardware and software stack that we've blessed along with Lenovo's team to include 2 dual RTX 6000s or 8000s in one of the P920s, along with our Rapids software container, which gives you access to all the GPU accelerated toolkits, frameworks for data science. With that, I'm going to send it over to Mark.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Can everyone still see my? Oh, here we go. Let's see.
There you go, Mark.
Good to go?
Looks good.
Perfect. Chris, phenomenal job. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So let's just dive into more of the data science workstation and remote graphics piece. And Chris segued phenomenally into it. So tying off in artificial intelligence, and that's really what this is all about. We're future proofing, and when it comes to higher education, students, we're preparing them for the real world, for what technology demands of a lot of corporations and business objectives today. So data science ties in phenomenally to that, and right now hundreds of universities have data science programs, and it's probably going to be one of the most reliable job markets and industries moving forward. So it's really future proofing, and it started as a trend, right? And now it's become a business requirement for a lot of corporations here, because we're really talking about like what Chris was saying with machine learning and deep learning. We're taking huge data sets and analyzing them on a regular basis, and quite often they're used to taking hours and if not days without the proper hardware and support. So three things that you need in order to kind of optimize performance and achieve these objectives and run the proper data sets is: 1 is power, 2 is performance, and 3 is flexibility. So coupled with things like Nvidia Rapids, coupled with video Quadro GPUs and the hardware that we provide from our portfolio, we're really tying all of those things in together to a perfect solution that allows corporations to do data analysis in order to achieve their objectives. And that's what today's high ed students, college students are preparing themselves to do, to make them more attractive to corporations after they graduate. So again, I kind of tied all that up in this slide, but just implementing AI, right? Knowing what it takes to kind of achieve those business results, compile that data, run that data, and turn it into ultimately business results and objectives. And really, it's everywhere, right? So every industry can use artificial intelligence and data science in one way, shape, or another. It's not just oil and gas. It's not finance. It's not engineering. It's not just retail. It's not just telecom, and it's not just healthcare. But the key thing is that these businesses will not survive, will not stand the test of times without data science, without the proper hardware to make their businesses more efficient and improve their performance and just overall business acumen. So again, there are just some of these things that are key to how they will normally do business, but you just add data science into it, and it immediately makes an impact and improves their bottom line. So we have two core solutions from our portfolio, and I think Chris kind of touched on it earlier. We have our advanced development and early training data science certified workstations, which is going to be our P920. Again, coupled with Rapids, which is that software that just optimize that performance level and ties into the acceleration needed to run these ISP applications, is what makes it really the total solution. And again, it's also Linux enabled and optimized as well. So for those environments that you have in your departments and as an educator, and students are using Linux and Ubuntu preloads on a regular basis, our hardware is certified to run on that. So currently we have a P920, and the next slide is going to have a P520. And soon enough, we're also going to have a data science certified workstation in our mobile platform on the P15, which is now the P53, but will be the P15 here in the near future. But again, just looking at this slide, this is just what our recommendation is. You know, tying back into what Brian already discussed earlier, when it comes to the technical expertise, when it comes to the empowering and emerging technologies, we have guys, our engineers and architects that take our hardware, do the appropriate benchmarking for certain industries, and make sure that we are working with our partners like Nvidia and like others to optimize our hardware with those certified, with the right builds to work on certified applications. So again, this is just a reference point. Obviously, it can be toggled and configured based on the department's needs, what you want to have in that environment. But this is just a framework that our teams and experts have put together from a reference point state of mind. And then also we have a developer machine, right? So taking the P920 and going from a dual socket back to the single socket in our P520 to really just focusing on that single threading applications to maximize speed. That's what this developer machine is all about, right? So you have a fast, agile CPU with again just optimizing the availability from a Nvidia GPU standpoint. You know, Quadro 8000 GPU graphics cards, especially with the power supplies we're going to bring into market with the 2020. You're maximizing the availability of what you can do with these devices here. So again, data science optimized workstations coming from our P920 and our P520 with Linux Ubuntu preloads and Rapids enabled, Nvidia Rapids enabled devices. And then also, last but not least, from a hardware perspective, well, actually more software. So we teamed up with MediaEntertainment, who created TGX Software. So that's a remote desktop software solution, which is way more timely now than it is to before, because everyone's kind of really just working remote, right? Students are performing their tasks and daily activities remote. Everyone in the offices are working remote. And those recent graduates that, you know, congrats to them, the May 2020 graduates, are whichever fields they're going to enter into, they're likely going to be working remote for at least for foreseeable future, especially starting in the fall. Hopefully they landed at some corporations here. But tying into the remote desktop, it's really important, especially for workstations, because those, let's say, entry-level devices, especially with a P1, for example, which is going to come with a T1000 or T2000 Turing GPU. That's a 4 GB card. But when you tie in some data science applications, or even some of the more intensive, graphic-intensive media and entertainment applications, you need to be able to tap into higher graphics, right? But you can't really just lug around a P920 at home, or even a P520 around the home office. So TGX basically takes our remote graphics solutions like a P920 tower, or even our new P920 rack, and it enables our customers and our users and our education departments to make sure that they can take those lightweight mobile devices that they have at home, and they can tap into more powerful intensive graphics and a remote desktop solution. So again, TGX is the software that enables that remote graphics access in order to really just widen the abilities and flexibility from a total solution standpoint. And that's the biggest difference here. And again, our experts work with our partner at MediaEntertainment to make sure that TGX is optimized to work on our ThinkStation hardware. So again, this is very, very useful. And right now we're working, we have demo units that are going to be available with TGX preloads on top of it with our P920 rack. So again, for those who are already working and talking hand in hand with their with their workstation specialists and Lenovo account teams, if this definitely piques your interest, make sure that you ask about it and discuss it with your account teams. But again, remote desktop is definitely going to be a thing of the future if it's not or already wasn't a few months ago, but definitely is now today. So just want to tie into that. And last but not least, Performance Tuner, for those who don't know, is just an optimization tool. So we talked about preloads already, but LPT is just one that was created by our Lenovo engineers that are part of our performance benchmarking team. They built it from the ground up. It's available for free. It's on our public support site, so it's free to download. Give it a quick Google. But again, it's going to take those top popular and more common applications that are for everyday use, Avid, Composer, Adobe Illustrator, Unreal, and the sorts. The device will recognize when those applications are already installed and loaded on, and the tool will then just have a presetting that our engineers already created to optimize that performance level down to very core counts, graphics utilization, and even RAM storage utilization. So something to keep in mind in case you want to really just make the most out of your system. At the end of the day, the department's investing in the students, and they're also investing in hardware. And LPT really makes the most out of the investment from a optimization standpoint. And that just about covers it from a data science perspective. So I will open it up for Q&A.
As a reminder, feel free to utilize the questions tab, which is on the GoToWebinar dashboard, if you have any questions for any of our panelists.
We had a question come in asking, what is the benefit of our ThinkStation and ThinkPad workstations versus the Lenovo Legion products?
Yeah, sure. So, wait, I think, was that not in that wasn't covered yet? If not, that's okay. So yeah, so several things. One thing that Legion is built around is gaming specifically, right? It's just optimized for that. It was built and created with that in mind, and it's just fantastically grown in popularity and become a very successful product line. The thing about ThinkStation and ThinkPad is that they're really built for just more than that. They're built for flexibility for so many different uses that sometimes tie into gaming, but also it could be for rendering, visualization, just everyday office use in general. Some of the everyday applications from PowerPoint, we use Teams, now we're using GoToMeeting for this webinar. The Quadro graphics are optimized for that flexibility with everyday use. The GeForce cards that come in Legion are more so from that gaming perspective, that you have the content already created, and then sometimes it just powers in a faster way in some cases, in most cases specifically for gaming. But Quadro is built around longevity. It's built around multi different uses. That it's not just about speed, but it's also about flexibility. That really just makes it a total package when it comes to our hardware solutions that tie into ThinkPad and ThinkStation. So I hope that kind of answers it. But again, workstations are for many graphic intensive uses that optimize power and graphic performance in a total solution, where Legion is more designed for that everyday gamer that may be home for summer break in some of those cases. So think of more so content creation from Lenovo Workstations rather than just content viewing in Legion.
Awesome, Mark. And I think the other big thing there is the ISV certification with the Quadro cards. So Chris, that was one of the other questions that came up. Could you briefly just kind of give us a rundown of GeForce versus Quadro and help reiterate why we recommend Quadro and workstations over GeForce?
Yeah, sure, great. Mark, you kind of hit a lot of the topics on the head. The real key, from a user experience, the real key is just multi-workload, being able to have something that's a utility graphics board and not just the best for gaming, right? The gaming boards are great. Obviously, Nvidia loves it. We're doing great with them, but it's truly for that. The drivers are pushed out when there's a new game, when there's a new buying cycle for the gamers, which is, like I said, Christmas time and things like that. And if you're a creative content person and you're doing heavy work with the Autodesk and Adobe apps and things like this, the drivers you don't want to change because some new Call of Duty came out and it's better to, blow up the bad guy. You want to know that the driver came out because the new Autodesk version or Adobe version came out, or Unity Unreal. And that's a good segue too. Unity Unreal are traditional game engines that now are getting into the production world. And our Quadro team is hand in hand with Unity and Unreal to make sure the Quadro drivers are optimized. And beyond that, with the real-time ray tracing effects that we were talking about in the Quadro optimization platform, it's just exponentially that much more stable. And really the key is the stability of the product as well as the certification. So, I mean, that's a real key. And then, like I said, the memory size really plays into the everyday content creator. When you play a game, that's all you do. You have just the game up and it's just pushing frames as fast as they can. But like I showed that video, you have Maya, you have Photoshop, you have Substance, you have maybe Premiere Pro for video editing. You're putting all this together and maybe you're streaming it out as well at the same time. Quadro is able to handle all that as utility GPU more than just a super fast gamer. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Any other questions, guys?
Well, I don't see anything else that has come into the questions box. All right, and since we are almost 5 minutes past the scheduled time, I will wrap things up. For our customers that have joined, thank you. If you do have questions, please reach out to your Workstation Lenovo rep. They can absolutely get you in contact with any of the panelists that we had here today, including Chris from Nvidia, and we will be happy to make sure that we get those questions answered for you.
Thanks again, everybody, for your time.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everybody. Be well.
Have a good day, everybody.